Personal branding used to feel like a luxury, but now it's part of how I stay visible, get picked, and how I keep earning in a messy job market. And that's the same for you too, whether you admit it or not. If you're tired of the old cookie-cutter marketing advice and want to take your personal brand to the next level with bold, actionable strategies that truly reflect you, you're in the right place. Let's untangle your marketing mayhem with Zoe, the video confidence coach, on the Unboring Your Brand podcast. Unboring Your Brand was recorded on Wadawurrung land. And yes, this is why your personal brand matters. Thank you so much to Priya for asking this question. The question specifically, in fewer words, is why should I focus on my personal brand if I'm not trying to be an influencer? Don't worry, Priya, I feel ya. And when it comes to what we see online, and especially the loudest voices from the smallest amount of people, influencers, it makes sense because that's what we see on specifically social media, but also just in aspects of the online space, because it is their job to be noticed in the online space. You can see the dichotomy of that, right? You can see that it's a little bit of like, there's being seen and being the loudest because it's their job to be seen and be the loudest. Welcome to the internet. But for yourself and building a personal brand, you don't want to be an influencer. You may not, or maybe you do, or maybe you want to include aspects of influencing into the work that you do, but not have that be your entire persona, entire career. Because for a lot of people that I work with, all the people that I do, and if you are not one of them, please check out my website, vcc.training, to become one of those people. Most of the people that I work with are small business owners, are medium to large business owners, or people who want to build their personal brand to lead their staff, to lead their audience, to lead their clients, they're building their personal brand to not just help them, but to help the people that they're there to serve. And influencing, you as an influencer, you are inherently someone who is, yes, leading and influencing people, but you're leading them and influencing them to buy. You're leading and influencing them to purchase something that you have not made. Now, as you can see in the past, I would say 3 or 4 years, there's been a very big swing for a lot of these influencers who have established on selling you things that they've been sponsored by, they've been paid to or brought to you by. They are now pivoting to their own merch, their own apps, their own content, their own things that they're providing. The reason for that is because you have more control over the things that you sell if you are in charge of them. So if you are an influencer, welcome into the fray. If you are not, that is also welcome into the fray, because we are here to build our personal brands through the power of video, because we are on Unboring Your Brand podcast episode. Yay! So let's continue with today's episode by let's naming the baggage, the old carpet bag in the room, which is that personal branding, in quotes, used to sound salesy, shallow, and as if it was like for scammers. What I mean by that is that previous to, I want to say realistically, 2010, 2012, of course, this is my own bias, this could totally not be the case for you, this could be a lot more recent for you, is that personal branding used to be a thing that con men would do, which a lot of people don't want to really be associated with, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't want to be a con man or a scammer. And for you, and possibly the world that you live in, the reason that hopefully you're joining this podcast today, is that the world has since then shifted. We've now shifted to an era where you're not guaranteed a job and you can't just quietly work your way up the ladder. To be honest, I don't even know if that's true, but the cultural zeitgeist makes it believe that that was the past, that was true. The reason I say that is I talk to a lot of people that are older than me, and they believe, the job market's never really been stable. It's almost like capitalism doesn't really exist, truly. We have other things to discuss, Zoe. But when it comes to your personal brand, it's no longer a shifty con men thing that you need to do. Your personal brand is something that you put out there into the world. And just because you may not actively use it or be actively aware of it does not mean you don't have a personal brand. Your personal brand and your reputation are very similar. They're not the same thing. And maybe in some of the podcasts I may have said that they're the same thing, but they are very, very closely related. They're like sisters, not cousins, if we get the gist there. And your personal brand is not a logo that you go under, or it's not even your name that you may go under. It's how you show up professionally, even if you've never posted online. Now, of course, a lot of the work that I do is very online based because that's where everyone else is. Therefore, we work, and video marketing has a tendency of working predominantly in the digital space. And in those moments where it's not, it is a very big outlier. So when it comes to your personal brand and what is in your control, and also because reputation is, like I said, sister, not cousin, your reputation is what other people say when you're not in the room. I'll say that again. Personal branding is what you control, while reputation is what people say when you're not in the room. So having that understanding of yourself, your personal brand is something you can do something about. You can not just change the way that you look, or maybe the way that you sound, or the way that you present yourself, or the messages, or the topics that you're talking about. You have control over who you help and why you help them. More than any reputation that is out there in the zeitgeist. And reputation can be helped and be bolstered by a personal brand. It can also be tarnished and ruined by a personal brand. There is also plenty of things that can ruin there are also plenty of things that can ruin a reputation that you don't have full control over either. And in the zeitgeist, we can figure out why. I think we both know who we're talking about. The two big reasons personal branding matters right now, like when you are listening to this, either as I post this or if you're watching much later on after I post this, because podcasts are always relevant, these are the things that matter now. Your personal brand matters because it changes the outcomes for real people. And it works in a world that is always moving fast. The thing that is fairly constant in this world is you. And I know that may seem a bit weird. And of course, what I mean by that is that we do change. We do grow. We do evolve in our life. But your personal brand is also growing and evolving with you. You can see my podcast about evolving your personal brand as it grows with you in another podcast episode. And when it comes to being able to stand out in a job market, in a speaker roster, in a collection of people, and arguably a collection of personal brands, you need to be able to have that stand out, not just for you, but have your reputation precede you, even in situations where you don't have full control over that reputation. Because again, they're sisters, not the same thing. And with cost-cutting measures covering every single industry and AI being rammed up our throats, down, up, being punched in multiple different ways, it means that work is going to go to contractors and specialists and not entry-level roles or full-time hires, which I don't personally love. I for those who aren't in the know, I regularly mentor about 2 to 3 classes worth of kids every year. So there are a lot of TAFEs around the Geelong and Wadawurrung region. And they all have either a subject or an element, I forgot what it's technically called, where they do entrepreneurship. And I and a collection of other mentors come in to help mentor them through that process. Now, a lot of these kids aren't really interested in building a business. They aren't interested in being entrepreneurs. That is fine. It is personal development and growth because you are a child. And as I do this, I see them work really hard and I see them do their best. And going into a world where there aren't entry-level roles, where there aren't full-time hire positions, and if there are, they don't exist for long. Or they're just fake jobs, or I probably won't try and spiral down too hard down the job market woes that I have for my students, my family, my mentees, my community. Let's spiral ourselves back up, Zoe. But as this world, as we are, capitalism's going to capitalism, the cost-cutting measures are going to continue to push in whatever industry you are in. No matter what there's going to be, yes, there may be more industries flourishing more than others, but they are still going to move to more contractors and specialists being hired in per project. There's going to be very few options out there for, say, full-time or entry-level roles that when you need to achieve something or achieve a goal, instead of going to be trained, you are going to bring in a specialist and a contractor who's going to help you achieve that. That is just, yes, that is a prediction of mine, but that is something that's fairly sound in no matter what industry you're in. And if you want to be picked, if you want to be seen as that leader in the space, as that someone who is being hired for not just their knowledge, but their experience and their expertise, you need to be remembered. And to be remembered, you need to be not just qualified on paper. You need to have a reputation that precedes you, and you need to have a brand that you can control that shows people that you know what you're talking about, you have the experience to back it up, and your values align with whoever is going to hire you. And they need to know that ahead of time. Because being standout in your field and being picked as one of these choices, it means that you have to have a personal brand of some kind. It doesn't have to be something that you work months on. It can just be something that you spend 10 to 15 minutes on. You write it in something, you put it out there into the world, and you make it clear what you stand for, who you stand for, and what the solutions that you're providing. Not necessarily in a business sense, but just in a life sense. And in the authority that you build over time, as you gain more experience in an industry, if you are someone who does not have experience in an industry, I'm going to tell you now, you have experience in some way. Everything can be moved to show that you have experience in whatever you're doing. You have lived on this you've lived on this planet more than a day. And for those who are listening, who are less than a day old, I commend you. You need a little bit more time, get a bit more experience. But for everyone else, you have lived experience that you can use in your personal branding that builds your reputation. Your authority is built on proof and consistency, and not just posting more. Your personal brand is about proof and consistency. And the simplest strategy for this, for your personal brand, and even if you are listening to this and are still not convinced, or Priya, if you are listening to this and you're like, Zoe, this sounds like being an influencer. I don't really want to do this. This is so much work. This is effort. Ugh. The simplest way to not even just build your personal brand, but to be seen in the marketplace of jobs. The simplest strategy is repetition. Keep showing up with the same clear truths, the same clear values, and the same clear messages until people can repeat it back to you. And this works in the job market. This works in networking. This works in referring business. This works for my business owners. This works for my personal brand builders. This works for students. This works for teachers. Repetition is key. Because if you keep showing up, people are going to remember you. And more importantly, people are going to be able to repeat that message back to you. And they're also going to be able to repeat it to other people who then in turn are going to learn more about you. Because these people are your customers, people who are going to, or your clients, people who are going to pay you money for your knowledge and experience. And if they can repeat your thing, not just, hey, this is their website, or I think she was called the video conference coach. Yeah, she sounds about right. And then they Google you and I pop up. Oh yeah, Zoe, she's the right one. Awesome. Personal brand has preceded me, reputation has preceded me, job is done. For yourself, now of course I'm using myself as an example there, and I've worked very hard on this for a couple of decades. For you, you may just be starting out and feel a little bit disheartened. I don't want you to worry. This is something that takes a little bit of time, but now that you're aware, you can continue to do this. You can continue repetition. You can understand your values and your truth and your knowledge and your message, and you can keep going. Not because you have to, but because you need to. I didn't say that too confidently there, but you kind of need to. Your personal brand isn't magic. It won't work in every situation, but that's normal. I'm not saying that everything that I am touting here today is going to magically fix every single problem that you have. But think of a personal brand as an asset in your toolkit that is a useful tool, but it's not your whole personality. It is something that you can get out when needed and put it back when you don't need it. And when you are trying to get a job, or you're trying to maybe keep a current job, or maybe you are in a situation where you're cyclical, so you're always going to have the job, but it's kind of not there, kind of is there, or maybe you're just looking for better things. If you are someone in the job market, or someone like myself who's just making your own jobs. Keeping your personal and professional separate, if it feels safer and more sustainable, is the way to go. You can be warm without oversharing everything about your personal life. You can build your personal brand without being entirely personal. And you can check out my podcast episode about that if you're still a bit confused as to the difference between personal and personal brand. I definitely check that out and separate those two in a nice clear format that I can't do today because we're running out of time. If you've been playing small because visibility or being seen feels scary, and I understand. Wanting to be small and be paper thin so then no one can hurt you, but also no one can see you, is tough. But if you want to be remembered so that you can progress not just your career, but also your life, to be able to achieve the life goals that you want to achieve, we need money to do so. It can feel scary, but the fix is gentle action. And it's not a personality transplant. You can't magically become a thespian overnight. But keeping that reputation in play is going to help you build up that confidence over time. Because confidence is just practice. And it's simple. When an opportunity comes up, you're the name that people think of first. And to do that, you need to be seen, and you need to be seen often. Personal branding can feel like a luxury, but now it's part of being stayed employable and also memorable. You already have a personal brand. The choice is whether you shape it to its purpose or just let it linger in the wind. I mean, you can do that. It's entirely your choice. Or you can just leave it in a corner until you're absolutely ready for it. And then come back to this podcast. And I'll get you to dust that off again. Your brand is how you show up professionally. And your reputation is what others decide for you. You can control how you show up professionally. Your reputation is something else. But hopefully the way that you show up professionally and help people and serve people that you want to serve means that your reputation is good. Proof and consistency beats random posting and just avoiding the truth. Repeating your core message is what builds that trust recognition as well as consistency for yourself. Ultimately, treat your personal brand like an asset and not just an entire identity. Because it should work for you, not against you, hopefully. If you have been tickled, I was going to say if I've tickled your pickle, which is not right because your brain is not a pickle. If I've tickled your brain, feel free to check out these other episodes from the Unboring Your Brand podcast, episode 72, Pivot Proof Your Personal Branding, and episode 47, Your Strong Personal Branding Playbook, which are the aspects I mentioned before about your pivot-proof personal branding is about why your personal branding matters when work identity shifts happen, and why the 47 for Strong Personal Brand Playbook is why I love alliterations, don't I? I love alliterations, but then I actually have to say them out loud. I'm like, oh no. So episode 47 is my practical building blocks for personal brand that feels clear and intentional. And in those episodes, you will also find the difference between reputation and podcasting. So reputation and personal branding. I say that a lot. But if you are washing the dishes, if you are driving a car, if you are listening to this as you are doing something else, what I would love you to do when you have the opportunity to take a breath, take a breather, think for a second, take some pen and paper, because this helps you and your mind remember, and think of the sentence essentially. So I'll give you a formula so you can write this down so you can make it easier for you. So I help people do something. I am known for this topic. I help do. I am known for. An example I have is for me, I say I help values-led founders explain complex ideas simply. I am known for calm, practical marketing. That may not be true, Zoe, but that is what I'm going to leave with you today, so you can do this for yourself. Oh, I can lie my ass off. I'm not exactly that calm and succinct, but I do my best to try and help you there as we are here in the moment. For my call to action for you is make sure that if I have tickled your brain pickle at all today, make sure you join me for a disco chat on my website. Again, the link will be in the description below. So if you are someone who wants to take that next step for your personal branding and video, make sure you check me out on that and join, and we'll have a chat on my website. Last thing I would love to leave you with is, if this podcast episode has helped you at all today, make sure that you hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss the next one, which will be out next week. Same time, same place. I know. Very, very surprising. And if you are feeling generous, because hopefully you are by spending a bit of time with me, please give us a 5-star rating or a quick review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Well, you can't really do you kind of 5-star and a review, because that would help us more than you would know. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening or watching Unboring Your Brand. You can find detailed show notes with tools, offers, and episode transcriptions. Just click the first link in the description or go to vcc.training/podcast. Get involved and ask me anything about personal branding, video strategy, or just a friendly small business chat via my email, g'day@vcc.training. That is gday@vcc.training. The Video Confidence Coach would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I record my podcast. I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Look forward to me chatting at you next week, superstars.